Hi, how are you, Jaret?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, aside from obviously my Zoom shenanigans this morning, technology, hey?
Oh, don't even worry about it. I'll tell you, it happens to me every time. And
Yep,
I have a radio show I do, and we use StreamYard, which is kind of like
yep,
Zoom, but it's my computer will always seem to want to do something. And so
yep, yep,
never fear. I totally understand.
yep. So, welcome to the Live Wire. We're an independent magazine from Australia, Brisbane, Australia. Um, I went out to the editorial staff when the Good Things lineup was dropped, and said, what do you think? And so many people honed in. Bowling for Soup's coming back. They haven't been here forever. And
Yeah.
then I went out a second time when Janine said I had the interview, and I said, "Any questions since you guys were so very enthusiastic about Bowling for Soup coming?" And one of my senior staff said, "Why has it taken you so fucking long to come back to Australia?"
I have a great answer for that question, actually.
Excellent.
We were there for Soundwave 2014,
Yep,
and then honestly, we had plans to come back, and then a a pandemic happened,
I did.
and yeah, and so that literally everything went away, and so we were supposed to have come back, I think 2019, 2020, whatever it was, but
Yep.
anyway, here we are. So I am hoping with the way that this is going and the way that this is set up that it won't be this long next time.
Excellent. I dare say there's going to be quite a few people in Australia, your fans in Australia, who are going to be very pleased with that answer.
Good.
So you guys have been around for 30 years, close
30
to
years.
or over.
30.
Um,
Yeah.
how do you find the landscape for artists working in today's music industry versus when you first started?
I think at the same, I think pretty much everybody stays the same.
Mm,
I think we're envious of each other in different ways. I think the artists of today wish they could just get in the van and go on the road,
the
and
romantic side of it.
exactly right.
Yep.
And I'm sort of envious of the fact that you can stay home and do your stuff on the internet
Yep.
and really honestly make the same headway. And so I get it. I get both sides of it. But then there's the thing of like young musicians and entertainers are so good with social media
Yeah.
and then there's people
You're
that are
pretty
my
good with
age.
social media.
Well, thank you. There are people that are my age that don't like it, but for
Mm,
me, I'm just like, this is my wheelhouse, man. Like I
yep.
think TikTok was made for me. Like
Yep.
I can just get on there for 15 seconds and just say something stupid and people will go, "Oh my God, that made my day."
Yep.
That's I'm the target demo for who they made that for. I just
Yep.
happen to be a dinosaur,
Yeah, yeah.
but you
I'd
know,
say you're about the
but
same age as me, a Gen X, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 52.
Oh,
So
yep. So you're in Gen X.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think that's the main thing is, that, the musicians of today wish they could go back to the old ways
Hmm.
but they're good at what they do. And
Yep.
the guys of today are like, why we have to do this? Like we used to just put out music and we'd tour for a month and then that was our year.
Yep.
And unfortunately it's just not like that.
Yeah. So your latest album, Pop Drunk Snot Bread.
Yep.
How do you even come up with these titles?
Well, so the idea was is a it was a play on pop punk's not dead.
Yep.
And so Pop Drunk Snot Bread made it to where we could all be little characters and
Yep.
just having a laugh with the whole Pop Punk's Not Dead thing. And at a time where we were really pulling that album, out of nowhere because it was a pandemic and we literally went and recorded that record because we wanted to hang out with each other. And
Yeah.
we had all been home for 8 months. It was like, man, I missed you guys. What can we do to hang out?
Yep.
Let's make an album. And
Yep.
so that's what we did, and super proud of it. But the fact that it's been out 2 years is crazy. It just means we need
Yeah.
to get back. We need to get back to work.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you kind of segued really well into the second part of my question that I was going to ask. Did you find the lockdowns and COVID conducive to writing, or do you guys have a more collaborative approach?
Um, so neither.
Yeah.
Um, I found the first part to be so anxiety ridden,
Mm,
because I've never had I'm a calendar guy. I
yep,
live by my calendar. Here's when I'm going to be gone. Here's when I'm home.
yep,
So I have this amount of time here to get this done, and then I'm going to be gone, and then I do this, and then I'll be, oh, you want to do that? I'll be back here.
yep,
Um, and so all of a sudden things were disappearing off my calendar. I've never experienced that before, and I'm
yeah.
looking at this empty thing. And so I found my peace in doing online shows. I spent a lot of time in this studio that I'm in
Hmm.
right now, which is the top of my house. Um, and so, but writing, honestly, is something that I was having trouble being by myself. Like I felt, even though my wife's downstairs, my kids downstairs, or whatever, like I felt very alone,
Yeah,
in the professional side of things.
yep,
So doing online shows really helped, but then it was like, man, I've got to get busy. So, writing was sort of like the means to be able to get to go and hang out with my friends, even though
yep.
nobody was supposed to at the time. And so, the songs were written, and I mean, the guys heard them on the way, to
Hmm.
go. We took a tour bus up to the Poconos to make an album, and they heard the demos then. And so, it was, but it was so therapeutic. I mean, it was so amazing that, because this was about 8 months in,
Yep,
got to be with the guys for 3 or 4 weeks, and man, it was just such a refreshing thing. And then came home with something to do. Okay,
yep.
now we've got to finish these songs and all of this, and so. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't. It was funny. We had our second greatest hits is all re-records of the second 10 years of our band, and
Yep.
all of those songs were recorded before the pandemic, and all I needed to do was finish the vocals. But
Yep.
I didn't like being in here by myself, just singing.
Yeah.
There was I had a psychological thing about it, and I do that all the time.
Mm.
But for some reason, because I had to be, I couldn't
Yep.
be. You know.
Yep.
And so that wasn't that album, it took 3 years to make it, because I didn't do the vocals till after the pandemic was done, and I could go to LA with my friend Linus and be in a studio with somebody else, because I was just
Yep.
like, I can't. I already have anxiety issues, and
Yep.
it wasn't an easy time for me, that's for sure. It
Yeah.
wasn't an easy time for anybody, but I definitely had a rough time.
I think was particularly tough on musicians because the release that they have of playing live, which is the own goal, right? You
Yeah,
know, it was taken away from all of you. So,
yeah,
and it's a story that I always ask about this about releases that were released during that time.
yeah.
And your story has a lot of correlation with a lot of others
I'll
in the
bet.
same place because
Yeah,
they just didn't have that outlet anymore, which I felt, you know,
yeah.
going online and be doing a bit of a live thing by yourself or in a room didn't quite equate to that, rush and adrenaline rush you guys get from stage performance and
Yeah.
bouncing off each other.
Yeah, I did over 50 shows here in this room, that I did. It was a tour, and
Yep,
I played all the albums, and I did this and I did that, and I put it on the back of a shirt and sold the shirt as a tour
yep,
shirt and gave money to charity, and I did everything that I could. I did charity shit. I raised over $200,000 for charities over the course
amazing.
of trying to do, just I would do anything. I wasn't saying no to anything, features or whatever. I was singing on people's albums,
Yep,
you know, just whatever I could do. But you're so right. The one thing that I wasn't getting back was that gratification of an actual audience, of an
yep,
actual, even even if it's just, my being able to sit and watch my management team listen to my stuff, or
yep,
anything. I did anything,
yep.
and it was really, really, it's hard. It's not an ego thing. It's
Mm.
really just one of those things where it's I guess I guess I would call it the fuel, like there's a
Yeah.
reason we put ourselves through what we put ourselves through to be able to do what we do. There's a reason that I'll go away for 3 weeks and miss my wife and kids and my dogs and stuff. It's
Yep.
because that reason is because of that audience reaction that I get every night is.
Yep.
That's the whole reason. It's not money.
Yep.
If it was money, I could figure that out in this room.
Yeah.
You- Um, so yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just having that taken away from you, and really and no way to get it, like in
Mm.
anything else, right? Like there's some way you can sort of like recreate it or something, right? But it was just
Mm.
like there just isn't, there's
Yeah.
just nothing. Yeah, it
Little
was
cartoon hands doing that up the screen
I know,
don't quite
right?
cut it the
Yeah.
same as a live audience,
Exactly,
right?
or the hearts going up the thing
Yeah.
on whatever it is, and I guess I could have started a Twitch, but I don't know. It was rough, and
Mm.
but we came out of, I came out of it with Pop Drunk Snot Bread, and
Yep.
then finished that, and then going into the second year is when I made my country record,
Yep.
and that's been a lot of my you know non-bowling for soup time is now
Hmm.
spending time doing the country stuff, and so I actually have the pandemic to thank for that because I
Yep.
probably wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have gotten time.
I wouldn't have found the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a positive outcome. So
Yeah.
in 2013, you guys announced your last UK tour.
Yeah.
Were you guys like thinking maybe a break or breaking up at that time? And then suddenly realized, nope, we love this too much.
So basically it was we needed a break. It was a lot of personal stuff going on, not within the band, in our personal lives. Gary
Hmm.
had just had a child. Uh Eric was our bass player at the time, had just went through a divorce. I was going through a divorce. So
Hmm.
I had two young children, and the custody of them was having to be decided based
Hmm.
upon, how much we were traveling, and all of that was a factor.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, depression and anxiety had just entered
Hmm.
my life.
Yep.
Um, we were at a place where we needed to stop. And
Yep.
so the thing was is that whole thing has backfired a bit because so many bands have actually broken up and come
Hmm.
back since
Yep.
then. Our deal was is that, like, guys, we're coming over here 3 times a year. At the time, we
Hmm.
were going to the UK 3 times a year. So we can't keep doing this. Like, we're
Yep.
going we're going to self-destruct. The last thing I wanted to do was run Bowling for Soup into the ground. I was like,
Yep.
I don't want to be one of those bands that is like playing in front of 100 people. And there's nothing wrong with playing in front of 100 people. I would gladly play in front of 100 people of my country band, by the way, any
Yep.
night. Thank you.
Yep.
But going from 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, 100,000 at a festival to 100 people, and you look sad, and we've
Hmm.
all watched bands do it,
Yeah.
and this band is bigger than that. Like, we can't do that. If this is it, then this is it.
Mm.
And so, at that time, streaming was becoming a thing. We were trying to
Mm.
figure out, like, hey, is there something we could do to where we like become like a streaming band or whatever? Like,
Yep.
obviously that didn't work out for anybody, but it was a time of inner turmoil within ourselves, and
Mm.
it was just hard to imagine keeping that pace. And so we stopped for a while. We took a long break, and it's the best thing we ever did. When we came back from
Yep.
that, we were absolutely on fire. We were better
Yep.
than we've ever been. We were closer than we've ever been. I had come out of this whole thing and gotten help for depression, anxiety, and such.
Yep.
It's the best thing we ever did.
Yep.
And so I look back on that, and though people will give me shit about it forever, as being, you know what, man, that was us doing the best we could,
Yeah.
um, at the time.
Mm.
And though we've been back 20 times since then, it will
Yep.
always come up.
Yeah.
Zero regrets, because I needed to start drawing some lines in the sand for my family, for my band,
Hmm.
for their families. and it was the right decision at that time.
That's a really awesome and very honest and frank response. I appreciate that. I think that a lot of the time you've recognized that possibly burnout was imminent and you took really great positive steps to manage that.
Yeah,
So kudos to you.
thank you, Beck. Yeah, I that was the thing, right? It was like we're either going to self-destruct,
Mm,
and like the whole legacy is just, I'm just like all this that we've built, we're going to run it into the ground, and we're going to look back on it and
yeah,
be like, gross, like,
yeah.
God, that's the last thing that I want, like
And even if
we
there
have
was a reunion, you guys would be just like, I don't want to go back to that.
100%, right? And then
Yeah.
also it'd be kind of weird. Like, I don't
Mm,
know, man. I think the whole reunion thing is up to the artists or whatever, and I guess it'll be interesting to see how
yep.
if we ever end things. I mean, I would rather ride off into the sunset and just be
Mm,
like, oh, they only play every 6 months now, or whatever it is. But
mm,
you know what? I'm following Bad Religion and Pennywise and all of my elders in to see how they
yeah.
navigate it. And right
Yeah.
now they're all really busy still. So
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
awesome.
I think we'll keep playing for now.
Yeah. So Janine has just given us the wrap up.
Okay.
So just one more question, just one more thing. Good
Okay.
things and sideshows. What can we expect from the show from you guys?
Man, we're bringing the hits. We're so excited about it. We've been playing the same album now for about 4 or 5 months,
Mhm,
and so we're getting a break from that. It's been awesome, but I'm excited to be able to break that up, to play some songs from other albums, and to really
mhm,
play the songs everybody knows. We hadn't been there in 10 years. You're getting all the songs that you expect us to play,
mhm.
and sideshows. Expect a lot of banter and a lot of fun, a lot of smiles, and
Yep.
we
Excellent.
absolutely can't.
Or awesome. Thank you for talking to us today, and we'll
Hey,
see
Beck,
you at
that
Good
was
Things.
That was really special. Thank you very much for that.
Yep. You're welcome. It was great talking to you.
You too.